when Rage Against the War Machine was going on, there was a lot of critique.
I'll be right back, CJ.
Go ahead. The left landed on, you either landed on attending the Rage Against the War Machine rally, or you landed on not attending the Rage Against the War Machine rally. And I would say it was probably 60-40. 60% saying don't go, 40% saying do go. And the critique that people had of that was that, well, you have people that's headlining this Rage Against the War Machine rally or march. You have them headlining that aren't anti-war, and Tulsi Gabbard was one of them. And now RBN did have some of the same critiques of their Rage Against the War Machine rally, yet our position was still that we were going to attend, and Sabby did still attend. But the pushback against the Rage Against the War Machine rally was this. If you are, or one of the pushbacks, if you're attending or if you're putting on these marches and so-called anti-war marches with people who aren't anti-war, that could be problematic down the line. And I think we're seeing what they meant by that. And because Tulsi Gabbard headlined a war rally, and then several months later, she comes out with this tweet, and I'll read it. The United States must stand with Israel in the face of this terrorist attack by the Islamist terrorist group Hamas. This is just the latest example of the greater war being waged by both Sunni and Shia Islamist jihadists throughout the world. This should be a wake-up call to leaders everywhere that the Islamist jihadists are the greatest short and long-term threat to the safety, security, and freedom of the American people and the people around the world. Now, you may be reading this, I'm reading this, and you might be thinking, wait, what is it's not the proxy war and the proxy war with Russia and the upcoming war with China? That's not the single greatest threat. The United States isn't the single greatest threat against peace. Apparently, by this anti-war, pseudo anti-war person, Tulsi Gabbard, I guess not. And before I get to some of the reaction, because I do want to zero in on part of this here before I get to some of this reaction. I want to zero in on this part. This sentence to me, it's more telling than what it says. Because for Tulsi Gabbard to say this, to me, it speaks to her sort of critique of any war, even the war that I agree with that she's against, which is the Ukraine war. Because for her to say this is a wake-up call to leaders everywhere that somehow Hamas and people who are like Hamas are the single greatest short-term and long-term threat to freedom of the American people and all around the world, is just a bold-faced lie. And I don't know if she's lying, misled, or being just a blatant propagandist in this tweet right here. But Nick, I know you was hearing a little bit what I said, but what is your take before we move on this person leading a Rage Against the War Machine anti-war rally, then several months later having a tweet like this? And what I was saying is it speaks to some of the people who had the critiques, the Ajamu Barakas, the Black Alliance for Peace of the rallies, that you're leaving yourself open for something like this. This person who's not really anti-war, but speaking at a war rally, then months later shows their true colors that they're not really anti-war. But what say you, sir, before we kind of move on?
Yeah, you guys know this. We're going to get to Lindsey Graham here soon, where the people who support Israel, they always have to make it a religious struggle. You guys notice that? Islamist terrorists. She's talking about Sunni and Shia. All this nonsense, right? The Israel-Palestine conflict is not a religious struggle. You guys understand? It is absolutely not a religious struggle. There are Middle Eastern Christians, Middle Eastern Muslims. There are people of different religious affiliations all over the Middle East, all over Northern Africa, all over Eastern Asia that supports Palestine. They all got different religions. They're all not Muslims. They got very different religions and beliefs. But you got to notice the only thing that Zionist scumbags like Tulsi Gabbard can do is make it a religious struggle so it doesn't become a merit-based argument about colonialism. So if you are a religious zealot, if you're an evangelical, if you someone believing in sky daddies and magical books and shit, you immediately would just take one side over the other without thinking, right? That is the plan, and that is the strategy of Zionists. I want everyone in the RBN community to repeat after me because it's true. There is no legal, there is no moral, and there is no intellectual argument for Zionism. So what do, CJ? They make it a holy war. We see through you.